be amazed at how much can change in 3 months when you finally stop running from your life and start building it. 90 days does not sound like much. It is not a year. It is not a decade. There is no grand someday hiding inside it. There is just you, your days, and the choices you repeat. In this session, you will learn how to use the next 90 days as a reset that is built on intention, consistency, and clarity, not on hype. You will learn a simple structure you can follow, built around 4 pillars: discipline, clarity, progress, and confidence. You will learn why 1 hour a day matters, how to win your mornings, how to cut what weakens you, how to train deep focus, how to build skills that pay you back, how to strengthen your mindset, how to face hard things, how to design an environment that helps you win, how to track and adjust weekly, and how to make the identity shift that keeps you from quitting. This is Create Your Ironmind work. This is not here to entertain you. It is here to train you calmly and clearly until the person you are becoming is stronger than the person you used to be. You might hear moments where the background shifts, where someone clears their throat, where there's a sharp breath or even a snorts. In this session, those are not mistakes. They are reminders that discipline is real, human, and practiced in imperfect moments. Most people live the same 90 days over and over again and call it a life. They wake up tired, they react instead of plan, they consume instead of create, they hope something changes but they never change themselves. Then they wonder why nothing looks different. Here is the truth that will follow us through this entire journey. Your life is not shaped by the big moments you are waiting for. It is shaped by the hours you commit to every single day. 3 months is long enough to transform, but short enough to stay focused. You do not need to overhaul everything at once. You do not need to be perfect. You do not need motivation that burns hot for a week and disappears. What you need is structure. 1 hour, one habit, one decision, repeated daily. Not because you feel like it, but because you chose it. Your next 90 days will not be built from inspiration. They will be built from discipline, clarity, progress, and confidence. Discipline is the engine. It shows up when your feelings do not. It carries you through early mornings, long days, and the moments when quitting feels easier. Clarity is the compass. Without it, every hour gets stolen by distractions, noise, and excuses. Progress is the proof. Even the smallest wins create momentum and show you that change is not just possible, it is already happening. Confidence is the reward. True confidence does not come from hype. It comes from keeping promises to yourself. So here is the challenge. For the next 90 days, give yourself 1 hour every single day. 1 hour where you are unreachable. 1 hour dedicated to building a skill, improving your body, studying your mind, upgrading your habits, or eliminating the patterns that have held you back for years. If you can do that one focused hour, you will feel the shift long before the 90-day mark. You will think differently. You will move differently. You will choose differently. And those choices will build a future you did not think you were capable of. Imagine waking up 3 months from now with more energy, more control, more mental clarity, and more self-respect than you have had in years. Imagine being able to point to real proof: habits you kept, projects you finished, skills you gained, decisions you finally made. This is not a fantasy. Clears throat. It is the inevitable result of consistent action. In this session, we break down 10 core habits that shape a powerful 90-day transformation. Each chapter is a building block, a piece of structure you are about to create. Some chapters will challenge you, some will push you, some will force you to look at your excuses and replace them with action. But every single one is designed to make you stronger, clearer, and more disciplined than you were yesterday. Take a breath, settle in. This is the beginning of your reset. You are not here to repeat the past. You are here to build a future, and that future starts with a single choice, a choice you are making right now. Give yourself 3 months and watch everything change. Chapter 1: The 4% Rule. 1 hour a day changes everything. Most people overestimate what they can do in a week and underestimate what they can transform in 90 days. That is because they chase intensity instead of consistency. They wait for perfect motivation, perfect timing, perfect alignment. While they wait, their life stays exactly the same. If you want the next 3 months to truly change everything, you must understand one rule, the 4% rule. 4% of your day is 1 hour, just one. But that 1 hour used with clarity and purpose is enough to tilt the direction of your life. When people hear 3 months to change everything, they imagine dramatic overhauls, extreme routines, or giant sacrifices. None of that is necessary. What changes you is not the size of the effort. It is the daily repetition of a small, intentional effort. For 90 days, your job is simple. Guard 1 hour like your life depends on it, because it does. Every successful transformation, mental, physical, emotional, financial, begins with a protected window of time where you build yourself without interruption. 1 hour where the world does not get to decide who you are. 1 hour where distractions do not win. 1 hour where you stop reacting and start creating. Think about your life up until now. How many hours have you given away to scrolling, stress, noise, and obligations that did not matter? How many days slipped through your fingers because you never claimed a small fraction of them for yourself? That ends here. The next 90 days are about reclaiming your time and using it intentionally. You do not need a new personality. You do not need more willpower. You need a system. This chapter gives you that system, and it begins with a mindset shift. Your hour is non-negotiable. You do not move it. You do not shrink it. You do not trade it for something urgent. You treat it like oxygen, something you need to function at your highest level. When you lock this in, the rest of the journey becomes easier. So what happens inside this 1 hour? The answer depends on what you want to transform, but the principle stays the same. The hour must be designed to build, not consume. Consumption comforts you, building changes you. Most people confuse the two and wonder why they never grow. In your hour, you do what strengthens your body, sharpens your mind, or elevates your future. Maybe you work out, maybe you learn a new skill. Maybe you write, study, build, train, or solve a problem you have avoided for years. The specifics change depending on your goals, but the architecture stays the same. One intention plus 1 hour plus one standard repeated daily. Start your hour by eliminating noise. Airplane mode, notifications off, door closed, environment cleaned. The moment you step into this hour, you step into a different identity, the version of you who shows up with standards instead of excuses. This is your practice zone, your upgrade zone. When you honor this hour, you tell your mind, I take myself seriously. Next, choose one priority, not 10. Clears throat, not 5. Not a long list you never complete. One, focus is power. A focused hour is worth more than an entire distracted day. Choose the action that moves your life forward, not the one that feels easiest, but the one that makes tomorrow better than today. Then commit fully, no stopping halfway, no multitasking, no jumping between tasks. You go deep. You let yourself become absorbed in the work. This is where momentum is built. People who transform fast are not more talented. They are simply more focused. They learn to become unavailable to the things that drain them and fully present for the things that strengthen them. Some days the hour will feel effortless. Other days it will feel like a battle. That is normal. Discipline is not comfortable. It is corrective. It reshapes your patterns, your cravings, your instincts. When your mind fights back, that is not a sign you are failing. It is a sign you are changing. This hour teaches you how to override old habits with intention. Over time, something powerful happens. The hour becomes your anchor. It grounds you when life gets chaotic. It centers you when emotions run wild. Snorts, it stabilizes your mindset when everything else feels uncertain. You begin to trust yourself again. That trust becomes confidence, and confidence becomes fuel. But here is the most important part. The results of this hour will not appear immediately. That is where most people quit. They work for 7 days, do not see a miracle, and assume nothing is happening. But transformation has always been quiet at first. The roots grow before the tree does. Change begins below the surface, inside your discipline, inside your identity. Then one day the results break through. This is why the 4% rule matters. It guarantees progress even when your feelings are unpredictable. It protects your direction. It keeps you from drifting. When you commit to 1 hour every day for 90 days, you make more progress than most people make in 3 years, not because you worked harder, but because you worked consistently. The hour also rewires your self-image. Every time you show up, you send a message to your brain, I follow through. That message compounds, your confidence rises, your standards rise, you stop negotiating with your weaknesses. You move through the world with personal gravity and inner strength that does not depend on motivation. By the time you finish the 90 days, the hour will no longer be a challenge. It will be a lifestyle. It will be the most valuable appointment on your calendar, and it will be the reason you change so much in such a short time. But none of that begins until you make a simple choice. The hour belongs to you every day without excuse. So ask yourself, if 1 hour can change everything, why not claim it today? Why not use it to build the life you have been postponing? Why not commit to a system that guarantees growth instead of waiting for circumstances to magically improve? 90 days from now, you will look back at this moment as the point where everything shifted. Not because you made a dramatic decision, but because you made a consistent one. Start tracking it, protect it, respect it, use it with purpose, because your future self is built in the hour you commit to today. And today, that hour begins. Chapter 2: Win the Morning to Win the Next 90 Days. If the first hour of your day is chaotic, the rest of your day will follow the same script. Clarity does not come from the middle of the day when your energy is scattered and your attention is already stolen. It comes from the beginning, from the first few choices you make before the world gets a chance to interfere. That is why the fastest way to change your next 3 months is to win your mornings. When you win the morning, you build momentum, structure, and discipline that carry you through every hour that follows. Most people wake up and immediately hand their day to their phone. They check notifications, scroll endlessly, read messages that trigger stress, and dive into other people's priorities before touching their own. By the time they actually start their morning, they are already drained, distracted, and behind. They have not taken a moment to breathe, think, prepare, or choose who they want to be today. And that one mistake, making the world louder than your mind, ruins the entire day before it begins. Winning the morning is not about waking up at 4:00 a.m. or joining some extreme routine that does not fit your life. It is about making the first 20 to 40 minutes yours and only yours. It is about creating a calm, intentional framework that tells your brain, I am in control. Even the smallest morning ritual done consistently rewires your mind for discipline, clarity, and self-respect. 3 months is just long enough for a morning routine to reshape your identity. The point is not to follow the perfect routine. The point is to create a predictable beginning to your day that eliminates chaos and restores agency. When you anchor your day in intention instead of reaction, everything changes. Your productivity, your mood, your decisions, your energy, and even the way you speak to yourself. Here is how it works. Rule 1 is simple: no phone for the first 60 minutes after you wake up. This is non-negotiable. Your mind wakes up in a highly programmable state. If you start your day with digital noise, your brain becomes reactive, scattered, and dependent on stimulation. But if you begin with silence, breath, and clarity, your brain becomes focused, grounded, and disciplined. Rule 2 is physical movement, something small, something simple, something that wakes your body up without stress. You do not need a full workout, you need activation. Movement increases blood flow, sharpens your mind, and signals to your body that today is a day for action, not stagnation. A stretch, a walk, a few minutes of light training, anything that reminds you your body is a tool, not an obstacle. Rule 3 is written intention. Decide your top 3 priorities before the day begins, not 10 tasks, not a long to-do list that overwhelms you. 3. This brings clarity. It cuts away distractions. It ensures you move with purpose instead of guessing, reacting, or drifting. When your actions align with your priorities, you make progress even on difficult days. Rule 4 is mental priming. This is where you set your mindset for the day. It can be gratitude, reflection, a line of affirmation, or a calm moment with your breath. The point is to step into the day with presence rather than panic. When you begin with grounded thinking, you respond better, work better, and feel better. These four rules, silence, movement, intention, and priming, are the foundation. They are simple by design. Complexity kills consistency. What matters is you perform them every morning for the next 90 days until they become automatic. Because once your mornings shift, your life shifts. Some mornings you will feel tired. Some mornings you will feel unmotivated. Some mornings you will feel the pull to skip your routine and jump straight into noise. Those are the mornings when your routine matters most. Anyone can win the easy morning. Transformation happens when you win the difficult ones. Discipline is not built through perfect days. It is built through imperfect commitment. Morning rituals create momentum, an invisible force that carries you through the rest of the day. When you start with discipline, the next decision becomes easier. When you begin with clarity, the next task becomes simpler. When you choose focus early, distractions lose their power later. Momentum compounds. If you win your morning, you win your afternoon. If you win your afternoon, you win your evening. If you string together enough winning days, you win your 90 days. This is how transformation works, not through one massive moment, but through hundreds of small ones. Your morning routine also resets your identity. Every time you follow your routine, even when you do not feel like it, you send your brain a message: I am someone who shows up. Now be clear about what your morning routine should not include. It should not include stress. It should not include rushing. It should not include negativity, comparison, or digital overload. It should not involve jumping straight into work or letting external demands dictate your state of mind. It should not require excessive time, complicated rituals, or an unrealistic schedule. Consistency is the goal, not perfection, not performance. If you want a simple structure for the next 90 days, here it is. Wake up, drink water, move lightly, sit in silence for a moment, breathe, write your top 3 priorities, read a small portion of something meaningful, and only then step into your day. Nothing dramatic, nothing overwhelming, just choices that build strength, focus, and momentum. You do not have to become a morning person. You have to protect the first part of your day. You have to choose yourself before the world chooses you. Because when you begin your day by building your mind, strengthening your body, and centering your energy, you become someone who does not lose the day to stress, noise, or distraction. This is how you win the next 90 days. Not with intensity, but with intention. Not with force, but with clarity. Not by doing more, but by choosing what matters. 3 months from now, your morning will be the reason everything feels different. Win the morning, win the 90 days, win yourself. Chapter 3: Cut What Weakens You. Every transformation begins not only with what you add to your life, but also with what you remove. You cannot build strength on top of habits that drain you. You cannot build clarity on top of noise that distracts you. You cannot build discipline on top of patterns that sabotage you. If you want the next 90 days to redefine your life, you must learn the courage to cut the things that weaken you. This chapter is not about doing more. It is about subtracting. It is about removing behaviors, environments, routines, and relationships that make it impossible to stay consistent. People think change comes from motivation, but real change comes from elimination. You do not rise because you suddenly become stronger. You rise because you stop letting the things that weaken you stay in control. This is the part most people avoid. It feels easier to add new habits than to confront the ones that have been running your life for years. But nothing changes until you face the truth. You cannot become the next version of yourself while holding on to the habits of the old one. Think about the last few years. How many times did you set goals, big goals, beautiful goals, and fall off track not because you were not capable, but because something small kept pulling you back. A distraction, a toxic routine, a draining person, a pattern you never questioned, a comfort you kept choosing over growth. Your problem has never been lack of potential, it has been lack of subtraction. For the next 90 days, your mission is simple. Identify the top 3 things that steal your energy, your attention, and your discipline, then cut them. Not reduce, not manage, cut. If something consistently weakens you, it does not belong in this chapter of your growth. Start with mental noise, anything that pulls your mind into chaos before you have even begun your day. Overconsumption of news, endless scrolling, reactive thinking, comparison, overanalyzing, emotional clutter, all of it weakens focus. Your mind has limited strength each day. If you give that strength away before you begin your real work, the day is already lost. Cutting mental noise means curating what you allow into your mind. It means unfollowing accounts that trigger insecurity. Reducing digital junk that clouds your thinking. Limiting media that produces fear, anxiety, or outrage. Most importantly, it means creating mental boundaries. When you are building, you do not check your phone. When you are focusing, you do not let the world interrupt. Next is environmental noise. Your environment shapes your habits more than motivation ever will. If your room, workspace, or digital space is filled with clutter, your mind will be too. If your environment encourages distraction, you will be distracted. If it encourages discipline, discipline becomes automatic. For the next 90 days, declutter aggressively. Remove objects that pull your attention, create a workspace dedicated to focus. Clean your digital environment, organize files, delete unused apps, remove notifications, cut the physical and digital chaos that steals clarity. A clean environment is not just aesthetic, it is strategic. It gives you space to think, breathe, and execute. Then come emotional drains. These can come from people, obligations, worries, or unresolved conflicts. Emotional exhaustion is one of the biggest killers of discipline. You cannot build a strong 90 days if you are constantly managing emotional turbulence that is not yours to carry. This does not mean cutting people you love. It means setting boundaries with the ones who drain you, removing unnecessary commitments, and being honest about what emotional weight is preventing you from moving forward. Sometimes the most powerful form of self-care is saying no. Sometimes the most transformative action is walking away. Sometimes growth requires distance. Then cut behaviors that sabotage you. Late nights that destroy your mornings, procrastination disguised as planning, snacking when stressed, hitting snooze, wasting evenings on autopilot entertainment, telling yourself, "I'll start tomorrow." These are invisible habits that quietly erase your potential. Over 90 days, they create massive damage. To cut sabotage, you need awareness, track your patterns, study yourself honestly. Notice what actions leave you feeling weaker instead of stronger. Replace them with simple, healthier defaults, a bedtime routine, planned rest, intentional breaks, and outlets that reset your mind instead of draining it. Then confront comfort that keeps you stagnant. Comfort is one of the most deceptive traps of modern life. It feels harmless, it feels deserved, it feels like a break. But too much comfort becomes a cage that keeps you from reaching your next level. Comfort is not bad, but comfort chosen at the wrong time kills transformation. Cutting excess comfort means choosing challenge intentionally, choosing sweat over stagnation, choosing effort over ease, choosing discipline over impulse. Growth never comes from what feels good in the moment. It comes from what feels right in the long run. Cutting does not mean destroying everything familiar. It means recognizing which parts of your current life are holding you back from the life you want to build. That distinction matters. You are not trying to punish yourself. You are trying to free yourself. Make this practical. Write 3 columns: what weakens my mind, what weakens my environment, what weakens my discipline. Under each, list every habit, behavior, pattern, or influence that drains you. Be brutally honest. Do not soften the truth. Do not justify what you know is hurting you. Then choose 3 items, the 3 biggest drains, and make them your cuts for the next 90 days. Cutting these 3 will do more for your life than adding 10 new habits. When you remove what weakens you, everything else becomes easier. Your mind becomes clearer, your energy becomes lighter, your discipline becomes stronger, your transformation becomes inevitable. There will be resistance, of course. Your brain will fight you, old habits will whisper, comfort will tempt you, your emotions will negotiate. But remember, resistance is not a sign to stop. It is a sign you are cutting the right things. Growth begins with discomfort. Spend these 90 days becoming someone who refuses to let weak routines run a strong life. Someone who refuses to let excuses dominate their potential. Someone who chooses clarity over chaos, discipline over distraction, and intentional living over autopilot surviving. This chapter is a turning point. Once you cut what weakens you, everything that strengthens you finally has room to grow. Cut the noise, cut the drains, cut the patterns that steal your future, and watch how much lighter, stronger, and more focused you become. In Chapter 4, The Power of Deep Focus. There is a reason your life feels scattered, why you start things you never finish, why you feel busy but never truly move forward. It is not because you lack talent, it is not because you lack intelligence. It is because your attention has been broken into 1,000 invisible pieces, pulled in every direction by noise, notifications, obligations, and impulses. If you want the next 90 days to change everything, you must learn the skill that separates the people who grow from the people who stay stuck: deep focus. Deep focus is not just concentration. It is the ability to give your full mind, full attention, and full presence to one meaningful task at a time. This is rare in a world built to distract you. This is valuable in a world where everyone multitasks themselves into mediocrity. This is transformative in a life where you want real progress, not just motion. You may think time is the problem, that if you had more hours you would achieve more, but time has never been the limitation. Attention has. A fully focused hour produces more progress than a distracted day. A deep work session builds more skill, more clarity, and more confidence than hours of half effort. You do not need more time, you need fewer leaks. Remember the last time you were deeply focused, so immersed that the world faded. Maybe it was a project you loved, a moment of creativity, a problem you were determined to solve. In that state you were powerful, you were present, you were unstoppable. Now imagine building that state on purpose every day for the next 90 days. Imagine what that would do to your goals, your mindset, your identity. That is what deep focus offers. Before you can learn deep focus, confront the truth. You have been conditioned to be distracted. Every notification trains you to react. Every open tab trains you to scatter your attention. Every habit of checking your phone trains your brain to crave stimulation instead of staying with a task. You have practiced distraction far more than you have practiced focus. No wonder focus feels difficult. No wonder discipline feels impossible. No wonder your days feel chaotic. The good news is your mind is trainable. Focus is a muscle. Over the next 90 days, you strengthen it every single day. Deep focus requires intention. You cannot focus deeply on something you have not defined. Every day before your hour, choose the one task that matters most, not the easiest task, not the urgent but meaningless task, the task that moves your life forward. Your brain needs a clear target. Without it, it defaults to seeking stimulation instead of depth. It requires environment. You cannot produce focused work in a space built for distraction. Your desk, your phone, your apps, your tabs, your surroundings all shape your ability to focus. Design your environment so that focus is the default. Remove distractions before you begin. Close what you do not need. Set your phone far from reach. When you create a space that supports focus, your mind follows. It requires time protection. Deep focus cannot exist in scattered pockets. It needs a block of uninterrupted time, 30, 60, or 90 minutes dedicated to one task. During this block, you are unavailable, no checking messages, no quick browsing, no switching tasks. Your focus becomes sacred. Your attention becomes a contract. It requires mental discipline. Your brain will resist. You will feel the urge to check your phone, switch tasks, seek stimulation. That is natural. It is the residue of years of shallow focus. Deep focus requires training your mind to stay, to resist the impulse to escape, to remain present with discomfort. Each time you resist the urge to switch tasks, you strengthen your focus muscle. Each time you sit through boredom, you build mental toughness. Deep focus is not supposed to feel easy. It is supposed to feel powerful. It requires intentional breaks. Deep focus does not mean grinding endlessly. It means working deeply, resting lightly, then returning fully. After a deep work block, step away, breathe, move, let your mind reset. This restores clarity and recharges energy. Breaks are not weakness. They are part of a structure that makes deep focus sustainable. Deep focus matters because deep focus creates progress, and progress creates identity. When you work deeply, you create things you are proud of, you build skills faster, you finish what you start, you make measurable steps toward your goals. When you produce results, real results, your belief grows, belief becomes momentum. Momentum becomes transformation. Most people do not realize distraction kills not only productivity but also confidence. Every time you break focus, you reinforce the belief that you cannot stay with commitments. Every time you give in to distraction, you weaken your identity. Every time you choose focus, you strengthen it. Deep focus is not just getting things done. It is proving to yourself that you can follow through. Make it practical. For the next 90 days, commit to one deep focus block every day. Start with 30 minutes, then 45, then 60. Length matters less than consistency. During this block, choose one meaningful task, eliminate distractions, work with full presence. Stay with the task until the block ends. That is it. Simple but life-changing. There will be days when your focus feels sharp. There will be days when it feels impossible. Those are the days that build you. Those are the days that define your transformation, not the easy days, the disciplined ones. Remember this: the world rewards those who can do what others struggle to do. In a world addicted to distraction, the rarest and most valuable skill is deep focus. This skill increases your value. This skill accelerates your growth. This skill unlocks your potential. 3 months of deep focus will reshape how you work, how you think, how you create, and how you move. You become calm under pressure, steady in chaos, powerful in your presence, and proud of your discipline. Deep focus is not about productivity. It is about becoming the version of you who honors your time, protects your attention, and builds your future deliberately. The next 90 days are your training ground. Choose your target, design your environment, guard your time, train your mind. Let deep focus become your advantage. In Chapter 5, build skills that pay you back. If you want your next 90 days to truly change everything, you must shift from mere effort to meaningful growth. Not just working harder, but building skills that pay you back for the rest of your life. Hard work can make you tired. Skill makes you powerful. Hard work creates effort. Skill creates leverage. When you build the right skills, your value rises, your confidence rises, and opportunities multiply. Most people never change because they spend their days completing tasks that do not build anything lasting. They check boxes, they stay busy, they feel productive, but at the end of the week, nothing has elevated, nothing in identity has changed, nothing in the future has improved. They are moving, but they are not growing. If you want these 90 days to be a turning point, make one commitment. For the next 3 months, you will build at least one skill that upgrades who you are and how you show up in the world. A skill that increases your earning power, strengthens discipline, or expands opportunities. A skill that compounds over time. Skills are the real currency of transformation. Think about the most capable version of yourself: confident, sharp, disciplined, respected, unstoppable. That version did not appear by accident. They were built through training, repetition, focus, and intentional practice. Becoming that person requires learning something that challenges your mind, forces your comfort zone to expand, and strengthens your ability to produce real results. Start with clarity. Identify one skill that, if mastered, would make the next version of you significantly stronger. Not a hobby you might enjoy, not something trivial, a skill with weight and impact. It might be communication, writing, coding, design, leadership, fitness, knowledge, public speaking, emotional control, negotiation, sales, critical thinking, or discipline itself. Choose something that elevates your mind and expands your future. Your 90 days need a target. Skill building gives you that target. Then commitment. For these 90 days, you become a student again, not passive but powerful. You learn actively, practice consistently, and apply quickly. You do not wait for motivation. You show up because growth is non-negotiable. Skill building is not glamorous. It is repetitive. It is uncomfortable. It is demanding. But it is one thing that guarantees transformation. When you build a skill, you build identity. When you build identity, you build belief. Belief is the engine that drives long-term change. Here are the mechanics of building a skill in 90 days. First, deliberate practice. Practice intentionally, not randomly. Spend focused time performing the action that improves the skill, not skimming, not daydreaming, not multitasking. If your skill is writing, you write daily. If it is speaking, you record yourself daily. If it is coding, you code consistently. Deliberate practice is uncomfortable because it exposes weaknesses, but weaknesses are where growth begins. Second, feedback. You cannot improve in a vacuum. You get feedback from reality through results, self-review, mentors, metrics. Feedback is not judgment, it is a mirror. It shows where to refine technique, adjust approach, deepen effort. Most people run from feedback because it bruises ego. The skilled run toward it because it builds excellence. Third, iteration. Skill grows through cycles. You try, you fail, you adjust, you try again. 90 days is enough time to go through multiple cycles of improvement. Do not fear repetition. Repetition is the foundation of mastery. It turns knowledge into instinct. It transforms what you know into who you are. Fourth, focus blocks. You cannot build a skill by practicing in scattered bursts. Dedicate uninterrupted time, 30, 60, or 90 minutes a day. During these blocks, you strengthen the connection between mind and execution. You teach your brain to go deep, learn fast, adapt better. Fifth, application. Skills grow when you use them in the real world. If you only practice privately, growth stays theoretical. When you apply your skill to projects, conversations, challenges, you accelerate progress. Real-world use forces creativity, problem-solving, and confidence. Sixth, identity alignment. Think like someone mastering the skill. See yourself as a builder, a learner, a disciplined individual upgrading daily. Skill building is not only technique, it is identity. If you see yourself as inconsistent, you behave inconsistently. If you see yourself as growing, you grow. Many people quit early because the beginning feels slow. The first 20 days are awkward, things do not click, progress feels invisible, but invisible progress is still progress. Skill building works like compounding interest. Returns are small at first, then suddenly exponential. If you stay long enough, the payoff becomes undeniable. This is why 90 days is the perfect window, long enough for compounding, short enough to stay locked in. Chapter 6. Strengthen your mindset before the world does. At some point, you realize the outer work is only half the battle. The other half is your inner climate, the mindset you carry into every day, every hour, every decision. For 90 days, you are not just training habits. You are training the way you interpret discomfort, the way you respond to pressure, and the way you handle the moments when things do not go your way. A strong mindset is not positivity, it is stability. It is the ability to stay present and deliberate when emotions surge, when the day gets messy, when the results feel slow. It is choosing clarity instead of panic. It is choosing responsibility instead of excuses. It is choosing the long run instead of the moment. You do not wait for a good mindset. You build one, you prime it the same way you prime your body with movement and your day with intention. You begin with silence, breath, and grounded thinking. You watch your self-talk. You notice when your mind drifts into fear, negativity, or self-criticism, and you interrupt it with something more true and more useful. You learn to see stress as information, not a verdict. You learn to see setbacks as feedback, not failure. This is not about pretending things are easy. This is about choosing to be steady. It is about becoming the kind of person who can do difficult work without needing perfect conditions. In this session, your mindset is not decoration. It is a tool, and a tool is meant to be used daily. Chapter 7: Face the Hard Things. Sooner or later, every transformation meets the same obstacle: avoidance. People do not stay stuck because they cannot do the work. They stay stuck because they keep stepping around the work that matters most. This chapter is about facing the hard things, the conversations you delay, the tasks you avoid, the truths you keep pushing into tomorrow. It is about the habit of doing what you least want to do first with calm discipline. Facing hard things does not mean you are fearless. It means you are honest. It means you stop letting fear drive the schedule. It means you stop letting discomfort decide your direction. It means you stop negotiating with avoidance. You will feel resistance. You will feel excuses get louder. Your mind will offer you easier tasks, productive distractions, and 1,000 reasons to wait. That is the moment to practice. That is the moment to do the hard thing anyway, inside your protected hour with your focus intact. Because every time you face a hard thing, you build trust with yourself. Every time you avoid it, you teach yourself you cannot be relied on. Over 90 days, that lesson compounds either way. Choose the direction that makes you stronger. Chapter 8: Design an environment that wins for you. Discipline becomes 10 times easier when your environment supports your goals and 10 times harder when your environment fights against them. Most people blame themselves for lack of focus, consistency, or motivation, but the truth is simpler. Your environment is training you even when you do not notice it. It shapes your habits, your energy, your clarity, and even your identity. You rise or fall to the level of the environment you live in. If your room is chaotic, your mind will be chaotic. If your environment encourages distraction, you will be distracted. If it encourages discipline, discipline becomes automatic. This chapter is about designing your environment so strong choices become the natural choices, not the heroic choices. Start with your physical environment. Clutter is not just mess, it is friction. When you see a pile of clothes, a crowded desk, random objects, half-finished tasks, you are not just looking at a mess. You are looking at micro-distractions, tiny decisions, reminders of something undone. That drains mental bandwidth and weakens discipline. Your goal is to eliminate friction. Clean your room, organize belongings, get rid of items you do not use, keep your desk minimalistic, one notebook, one pen, one laptop. Design your space so that when you sit down to work, your mind is already halfway into a focused state. You are not creating a perfect aesthetic. You are creating a clear path for your mind. Set up a dedicated workspace, even if it is small. A place where you train your skill, complete deep focus sessions, or work on goals. When your brain associates a specific place with productivity, it becomes easier to enter that mindset automatically. Your environment should not fight your identity, it should reinforce it. Now your digital environment, the silent destroyer of attention. Your digital world is part of your environment, and it is often the most dangerous part. Clear's throat: digital clutter is invisible, which makes it easier to ignore and harder to control. Notifications, endless tabs, social feeds, algorithm traps. They pull your mind in every direction. To transform in 90 days, take control of your digital space. Reorganize your phone, remove apps you do not use, move distracting apps off your home screen, turn off notifications for anything that is not urgent or meaningful. If your phone is constantly pulling your attention, it owns you. Your phone must become a tool, not a master. Declutter your laptop, close tabs you have abandoned, delete unnecessary files, simplify your workspace, create folders for clarity. When your digital environment is clean, your mind becomes lighter. Create focus mode rituals, phone out of reach, laptop full screen, tabs limited to what you need, notifications silenced. Your mind will thank you, your work will improve, your stress will drop, your focus will sharpen. Deep transformation requires deep attention, and deep attention requires digital simplicity. Now your social environment. People influence you more than you realize. Your environment is not only physical or digital, it is human. The people around you shape your behavior, your standards, and your identity. For the next 90 days, be intentional about the energy you allow into your life. Some people support your growth, some sabotage it, some inspire you, some drain you, some push you forward, some hold you back without even meaning to. This does not mean you cut everyone out, it means you adjust access. People who discourage growth get less of your time, people who support your goals get more, people who drain your energy get boundaries, people who inspire you get proximity. Surround yourself with people who talk about goals, not gossip, progress, not drama, solutions, not problems. If you do not have these people yet, you can create this environment through content, sessions, mentors, online books, videos, and audio. Even virtual proximity can influence identity. You are always becoming more like your environment. Choose wisely. Now your mental environment, the inner space you live in. Your internal environment is the most powerful one, your thoughts, beliefs, narratives, and self-talk. If your mental environment is chaotic, your actions will be chaotic. If it is filled with negativity, fear, or self-criticism, progress will always feel heavy. To transform your mental environment, build a daily mindset reset. Morning silence, breathing, reflection, clear intentions, gratitude, and your 3 priorities. Create a mental space that supports clarity, not confusion, that nurtures discipline, not doubt, that encourages growth, not avoidance. Your mental environment becomes the filter through which you experience your life. Strengthen it, and everything else becomes easier. Why does environment design change everything? Because it removes decision fatigue, it reduces friction, it shapes identity, it determines behavior, it turns discipline into a default, not a struggle. When your environment aligns with your goals, you no longer fight yourself. You stop wasting energy resisting distractions. You stop relying solely on willpower. You create a system where strong choices become natural choices. Make it actionable with a simple 90-day environment reset. Day 1 to 3, physical declutter. Day 4 to 7, digital cleanup. Day 8 to 14, social boundaries. Day 15 to 21, mental reset rituals. Day 22 to 90, maintain, refine, optimize. This cycle transforms how you think, how you work, and how you show up. When you master your environment, you master momentum. Your environment sends signals to your brain about who you are. A clean desk says, I am someone who is focused. A phone with notifications off says, I protect my attention. A room free of clutter says, I respect my space. A dedicated corner for deep work says, I build. A morning ritual says, I lead my life. Identity is built through cues, and environment is one of the strongest cues you have. Design your environment intentionally, and your identity will follow. Your next 90 days begin here. These 90 days will not reward perfection. They will reward structure. They will reward clarity. They will reward intentional design. Design your environment, remove friction, strengthen focus, protect your mind, shape your identity. Because when your environment wins, you win. Chapter 9. Track, review, and adjust weekly. One of the biggest reasons people fail to change their lives is simple. They do not track anything. They do not measure progress. They do not review choices. They do not adjust strategy. They hope things are improving but never check. Without clarity, guesswork takes over. Guesswork leads to inconsistency. Inconsistency leads to disappointment. Disappointment leads to giving up. If you want the next 90 days to transform your life, stop guessing and start tracking. What gets measured improves. What gets reviewed accelerates. What gets adjusted becomes unstoppable. A 90-day transformation is not a straight line. It is a cycle of learning, refining, and rising. Tracking is the process, review is the awareness, adjustment is the evolution. You cannot improve what you refuse to look at. Avoiding the truth does not protect you, it weakens you. When you track actions honestly, you take control. You turn every day into data. You turn every week into insight. You turn every mistake into information. Tracking does not judge you, it teaches you. The goal here is simple. Make tracking and weekly review your new superpower. If you commit to this for 90 days, growth becomes undeniable. Begin with the truth. Memory is unreliable. It forgets wins. It exaggerates failures. It distorts progress. You cannot rely on feelings to judge growth. Feelings fluctuate too quickly. Progress often feels invisible until data reveals it. Tracking makes progress visible. When you track habits, focus, energy, and output, you create a mirror for your life. A mirror that shows where you are strong, where you are slipping, and where you must adjust. Awareness is the key to transformation. Use 3 pillars: actions, energy, results. Actions measure what you did, energy measures how you felt, results measure what improved. This triad gives you the full picture: behavior, state, outcome. Most people only look at outcomes, and that is why they quit. They do not see immediate results, so they assume nothing is working. But results are always the last thing to appear. Actions and energy change first. Track early signals before big changes arrive. Track actions daily as your evidence. Every day, track simple checkboxes. Did you do your 1 hour of focused work? Did you follow your morning routine? Did you stay consistent with your key habit? Did you cut your 3 biggest drains? Did you practice your chosen skill? Use checkboxes, not paragraphs, not essays. Tracking must be effortless or you will not do it. Actions are the backbone of transformation. Even when results are not visible yet, actions prove you are building momentum. Track energy daily as internal data. Your energy tells you what your body and mind are experiencing. Track it on a scale of 1 to 5. 1 is exhausted, 3 is neutral, 5 is strong. Energy tracking reveals patterns most people miss. Maybe energy drops when you stay up late, maybe it rises after exercise, maybe it crashes after certain foods, tasks, or people. Energy is information. Once you see patterns, you can adjust intelligently. Track results weekly, not daily. Daily results create anxiety. Weekly results create clarity. Every 7 days, review what improved, what stayed the same, what slipped, what surprised you. Weekly review is where understanding becomes power. Now the weekly reset, the ritual that elevates your 90 days more than anything else. It is the moment you pause chaos, step back, and look at your life with clarity. Most people rush through weeks without reflecting. They repeat mistakes because they never stop long enough to examine them. The weekly reset stops autopilot and turns life into conscious creation. Here is the weekly reset ritual. Step 1. Review actions. Look at checkboxes, count wins, count misses. This is not about perfection, it is about awareness. If you hit even 60 to 70%, you are making progress. Consistency is not doing everything every day. Consistency is doing the right things more often than not. Step 2. Review energy. Study patterns. Which days felt heavy? Which days felt light? What influenced shifts? Awareness helps you optimize your week. Adjust sleep, routines, workload, boundaries based on what energy reveals. Step 3. Review results. Look for small wins, a clearer mind, a more organized space, a completed task, a stronger skill, a better mood. Progress is often subtle until it becomes undeniable. Step 4. Identify one thing to improve next week, not 10 things. 1. Improvement thrives on focus. Fix one thing every week, and that is 12 improvements in 90 days. That is massive. Step 5. Reset your space. Clean your desk, organize tools, prepare environment. A fresh environment signals a fresh week. This small ritual boosts clarity more than you think. Step 6. Rewrite priorities. Choose top 3 goals for the next week. Direction prevents drift. With priorities set, actions become intentional. Step 7. Recommit. Say it out loud. I am not here to repeat last week. I am here to rise. Recommitment is identity training. Every week you strengthen the belief that you are someone who shows up. Tracking creates transformation because it destroys the illusion of failure, reveals real patterns, increases awareness, eliminates emotional guessing, shows progress long before the mirror does, keeps you honest, and gives you power. Most importantly, tracking builds trust with yourself. Every box you check is evidence you are becoming the person you said you would be. Self-trust is the foundation of confidence. Confidence is the foundation of discipline, and discipline is the foundation of transformation. Tracking changes identity. When you track your day, you become someone who pays attention. When you review your week, you become someone who learns. When you adjust your strategy, you become someone who evolves. This becomes personal evolution instead of random effort. After 90 days of tracking, you will know patterns intimately. You will understand what drains you, what strengthens you, what motivates you, what distracts you, what energizes you, what slows you down. You will design life based on data, not feelings. You will operate from clarity, not confusion. You will not fear setbacks because you will know how to analyze them. You will not fear failure because you will know how to adjust. You will not fear slow progress because you will see it building in real time. Tracking removes the fear of the unknown. You cannot be lost when you know where you stand. Your transformation depends on this ritual. The next 90 days are not about perfection. They are about awareness, refinement, elevation. If you do nothing else but track, review, and adjust weekly, you will transform because you will be living consciously, intentionally, powerfully. The untracked life repeats. The tracked life evolves. Track your actions, review your patterns, adjust your path. This is how you rise. Chapter 10. Identity Shift. Become the person who quit. Every transformation eventually arrives at the same threshold. The moment when habits are not enough, systems are not enough, discipline is not enough. Because all of those tools, powerful as they are, depend on something deeper: identity. Identity is how you see yourself, who you believe you are, what standard you expect yourself to maintain. Without an identity shift, the old version of you will always pull you back. With an identity shift, the old version loses power. This final chapter is not about creating a new habit or adding another routine. It is about becoming someone else. Someone stronger, clearer, more capable, more committed than you have ever been. Someone you would have admired years ago. Someone you can trust. Someone who does not quit. For 90 days, you have been building discipline, clarity, courage, focus, structure, resilience. But the most important transformation is happening inside you. You are shifting from a person who hopes to change into a person who expects to win. Identity is the root of all behavior. You cannot act consistently in a way that contradicts who you believe you are. That is why motivation fails. That is why habits fade. But identity, the story you tell yourself about yourself, sticks. If your identity says, I am inconsistent, you will quit. If it says, I am not disciplined, you will avoid effort. If it says, I always fall off, you will repeat old patterns. But if identity shifts to, I am someone who follows through, everything changes. You act differently, you think differently, you choose differently, you show up differently. Identity creates gravity, pulling behavior into alignment with self-perception. For the next 90 days, your mission is to build an identity that matches your highest potential. Here are the pillars of an unstoppable identity. 1. Identity is built through repetition, not intention. You do not become disciplined because you want to be. You become disciplined because you repeatedly act like a disciplined person. Every time you choose consistency over excuses, identity strengthens. Every time you show up on a hard day, identity evolves. Every time you restart after slipping, identity rewrites itself. Identity is not a dream, it is a pattern. Identity is not a wish, it is a decision repeated. Identity is not who you were, it is who you are practicing to become. For 90 days, you have been practicing a stronger version of yourself. Now that version is ready to take over. 2. Identity requires letting go of the old you. There is a version of you that must be left behind, the one who procrastinated, avoided, hesitated, made excuses, feared failure, settled for less. That version was familiar, but it was not powerful. It got you this far, but it cannot take you further. The old you was built for survival. The new you is built for elevation. Letting go does not require shame. It requires recognition, honesty, acceptance that you are done repeating that identity, done replaying that story, done living at half strength. Your life changes when you finally say, I am no longer available for the person I used to be. 3. Identity thrives on standards. A strong identity does not depend on motivation. It depends on standards, rules you live by, expectations you refuse to negotiate, lines you do not cross. For example, I do not skip my hour, I keep my space clean, I finish what I start, I do not engage in distraction, I do not abandon myself when things get hard. These are not goals, these are standards. Goals create direction, standards create identity. Identity creates transformation. 4. Identity requires proof. If you want to become someone who does not quit, you need evidence, actions that prove to your brain you are that person. Proof builds belief. Belief strengthens identity. Identity drives behavior. Look back at your 90 days. You have shown up, you have focused deeply, you have removed distractions, you have improved your environment, you have trained your discipline, you have learned skills, you have faced difficult things, you have tracked progress. That is proof, real proof, identity-shifting proof. Your mind cannot argue with evidence. 5. Identity forms through language. The way you talk to yourself determines trajectory. Most people speak to themselves like an enemy, critical, harsh, doubtful, dismissive. That language weakens identity, weakens confidence, weakens follow-through. Identity requires a new vocabulary. I follow through. I do not negotiate with weakness. I do difficult things. I honor my commitments. I choose growth over comfort. These are not affirmations. They are identity statements, and identity statements guide behavior. 6. Identity is reinforced by small wins, not big moments. People think transformation comes from dramatic successes. It does not. It comes from micro wins, repeated daily, tiny decisions when no one is watching, waking up on time, finishing a session you did not want to start, choosing focus over distraction, choosing honesty over avoidance, choosing discipline over comfort. These small wins are bricks. Over 90 days, you have been building a foundation one brick at a time. Now the structure is real, the identity is real. You have become someone stronger than your excuses. 7. Identity requires self-respect. You cannot sustain transformation without respecting yourself. Self-respect grows when actions align with values, when you do what you say you will do, when you refuse to betray yourself for momentary comfort. These 90 days taught you something. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you rise. Every time you break a promise to yourself, you fall. A person who does not quit is a person who respects themselves enough to keep going. 8. Identity emerges when you show up on hard days. Anybody can act disciplined when they feel good. Anybody can show up when motivated. Anybody can commit when life is calm. But the person who does not quit is built on days that test you, push you, when excuses feel loud and energy feels low. Showing up on those days separates old you from new you. Hard days are not interruptions. They are opportunities. They are where identity is sculpted. A strong identity is not consistency without struggle. It is consistency despite struggle. 9. Identity is a choice you renew daily. You do not become a new person once. You choose to be that person again and again. Every morning you recommit, every decision you reinforce, every action you embody. Identity is not static, it is alive, and you shape it with every choice. For these 90 days, you have been choosing strength. Now that strength is choosing you back. 10. Identity determines your future. Outcome follows identity, not the other way around. When you embody the identity of someone who does not quit, life expands in ways you once thought impossible. Confidence rises, discipline stabilizes, opportunities open, momentum accelerates. You stop sabotaging yourself, you stop abandoning progress, you stop shrinking to fit old patterns. You become the person you once needed, someone you trust, someone you respect, someone you follow. This identity carries you far beyond 90 days. Your transformation has reached a turning point. You built habits, you built discipline, you built clarity, you built resilience, you built courage, you built structure. But most importantly, you built a new you. The 90 days are not the finish line, they are the foundation. Continue becoming the person who does not quit. Continue choosing the identity that elevates your life. Continue embodying the standards that strengthened you. The world changes when you change, and you have changed. This is not the end. It is the beginning of a new identity, the strongest one you have ever worn. Closing, the next 90 days begin with you. 90 days ago, you began with a simple idea that a focused, intentional season of your life could change everything. Now, standing at the end of this session, you know that idea was not just inspiring, it was true. You have proven to yourself that transformation does not require perfection. It requires structure. It requires clarity. It requires deliberate choices repeated. It requires the hour you protected. It requires the mornings you won. It requires the drains you cut. It requires the focus you trained. It requires the skills you built. It requires the hard things you faced. It requires the environment you designed. It requires the tracking, the weekly review, the adjustments. And it requires the identity shift that makes quitting less available to you than continuing. This journey has always been about becoming someone you are proud of, someone you trust, someone you respect, someone who no longer gives potential away to distraction, fear, or comfort, someone who leads life instead of reacting to it. The end of this session does not mean the end of transformation. It means the beginning of a new chapter, one where identity is strong enough to carry you forward. You now understand that every 90 days offers another opportunity to rise, another chance to refine, reset, rebuild, another season to become more aligned with the person you want to be. Imagine what life could look like if you repeated this process again. Another 90 days of clarity, another 90 days of deep focus, another 90 days of skill building, another 90 days of momentum, another 90 days of identity strengthening. Where would you be 6 months from now, a year from now, 3 years from now? Transformation compounds, identity compounds, discipline compounds. You now have the blueprint for creating any version of your future you desire. This session was not about giving you motivation. It was about giving you a system, a structure, a mindset, a way of living that makes growth inevitable. You now know something most people never discover. Your life does not change in the future. Your life changes in the hour you commit to today. It changes the moment you protect your attention. It changes the moment you choose clarity over chaos. It changes the moment you take responsibility instead of waiting for circumstances. It changes the moment you act even when you do not feel ready. Everything changes the moment you do. So as you step out of these 90 days and into the next chapter of your life, acknowledge your progress. Celebrate your growth, honor the work you have done. You did not just build habits, you built a foundation. You did not just develop discipline, you developed identity. You did not just change actions, you changed who you are. Now the real question becomes, what will you do with this version of yourself? Will you settle back into old patterns, or will you continue rising into your potential? Will you let life pull you off track, or will you lead with the clarity you earned? Will you go back to who you were, or will you keep becoming who you are meant to be? Only you can answer that, but the fact that you made it here tells me something undeniable. You are ready for more, ready for discipline, ready for growth, ready for power, ready for a life built with intention, not accident. Your next 90 days begin the moment you decide they will, so take a breath, stand tall, carry forward everything you have learned. Let the strongest version of you lead from here. The future is yours, go create it.
Want the written version? Grab the PDF for half a cup of coffee, $2. Link is in the description and the comments.